Hello everyone, Treecks here and welcome back to Wario Land 2. Even though it's the third game, it's called Wario Land 2. But that aside, it is different than the first two games because there's no longer a life system, no longer a health system. In this game, the challenge comes from a different form. And speaking of thirds, it's actually time for the third stage, because after finishing off number 2, we are obviously going to continue with number 3. Okay, the game always autosaves after a stage, in case you didn't know, as you can see here. But let's move on. The story number 3, Let the Water Out. In case you were wondering what we were going to do next. In the introduction episode, we actually focused mostly on getting rid of all of the ways the pirates used in order to bully us around in our castle. Which is of course a distraction, because their true purpose is of course stealing our treasure. Which was their treasure in the first place, but that aside. Wario is allowed to steal. But besides that, we also need to let the water out, of course. After the castle got flooded because of the faucet being on, we also need to get rid of this water. And speaking of water, underwater is going to introduce us to the next state Wario can be in. In this case, Bubble Wario. Let's get rid of most of the stuff here. Bubble Wario actually functions as follows. If you enter it, you automatically float up. And you no longer have a way to go down. So you press down right now and nothing happens. However, there's still a plus side. These currents. Normally, when Wario is swimming, as you can see here, these currents are inaccessible. We can't pass through them. Wario is too fat to swim fast enough. But these bubbles actually make us light enough so we can actually pass through them. And that's the basic use of the Bubble Wario state. So let's enter it again now that the explanation is done. And let's use it to get to the top of this room. Because obviously we want to be there. As you might have seen in the first room, we're blocked off by some blocks. And underwater we cannot use our bash move. So we need to make sure that the room is no longer underwater. Stupid boomerang pirate. Let's get rid of you. Can be annoying. But anyway, the coins have been earned back already. Usually whenever... Oh, there's stuff up here. Ooh, big loot. Okay, no more secrets in here. There could be, so... Even in these bonus rooms, it's actually worth checking out. But okay, let's finish off what I was trying to say. Usually whenever enemies hit you, they actually knock 6 coins out of you. There are a few exceptions, I believe, but most of the enemies in this game, whenever they hit you, they knock 6 coins out of you. Okay, let's move on. This time we're actually moving downward, as you can see. So this time it's actually recommended not to enter the bubbles, because like I explained, they can only carry you upward. So in this case, they actually function as a hindrance. In this room, we don't want to use them. So the challenge here is avoid the bubbles. Which is not that hard to do. Later in the game, this actually becomes a little bit harder, but we're still only in chapter 1 after all. Oh yeah, this is how it works. As you can see, this is the block. These are the blocks we couldn't pass earlier, but we simply got around them. I remembered having to drain the water in the stage in order to access it further, but that probably is a different stage. There's a lot of stages in this game, so sometimes I mix them up a little bit in my mind, but this also works. Okay, here we have a switch. First time we meet those. Press these guys in order to change something up in the level. In this case, it actually raises and lowers the water level in this room. If we wouldn't have pressed the switch, the water would be higher and we wouldn't be able to dash our way through these spots over here. And therefore access the coins over here. Simple, basic introduction to the switch. So okay, let's grab the coins over here. And there's more on the wall over here. These ones aren't even too hidden. You can actually see them through the wall. Okay, let's check in here first, so we can actually see the function of the switch a little bit better. As you can see, too high to jump. However, like I explained, this switch actually raises the water level if it is switched on. And now we actually can get over here. This is actually based on the mechanic from the very first Wario Land game. In that game there was actually a world where it was also moment where you actually needed to change up the level layout at some point, if you remember correctly. And that also involved the water level in some instances, in the very first world that was. Because of a flooding happening in the second world, the first world actually, all of the stages, the water level raised. And that was actually a pretty interesting thing that they brought it back in this way. Because that is actually where this water racing mechanic always reminds me of. But okay, we've collected more than enough coins to enter this room. Not a surprise, this is the treasure room for this stage. So let's switch back to normal. It's still the safest difficulty for me, I feel. Got lucky on hard last time, but trust me, I usually don't. Okay, let's check out. I saw it on the right over here. Yeah. I must admit, getting the quote-unquote cloud guy, I'm not really sure what the enemy is officially called, but the cloud guy, always called that enemy. That is definitely the easiest one to get, because that one actually stands out a little bit in comparison to the other enemies that can appear here. Most of the enemies kind of have the same color scheme, you might say, and therefore it's sometimes a little bit hard to see at first glimpse which one is the one you're looking for. But the cloud guy, because of being way lighter than the rest, is actually much easier to see. So if you want to make this minigame easier for yourself, you better hope that is the one you need to find. But usually you don't get that lucky. Okay, another new mechanic going to get introduced here, even complete with button layout. We actually need to press down on the D-pad on slopes in order to do rolls. And rolling is actually required in order to reach certain locations. Because one space gaps Wario cannot bash through, but we can roll through them. As you can see, Wario can crawl, but he cannot dash while crawling. And that is actually the way to take care of those kind of spaces. So let's destroy this plug over here. Apparently this is the thing that prevents the water from draining in this stage. And by the way it looked, it was obviously pirate made. So let's get our coins back. All these silly end of stage minigames have been draining my coin amount. Hopefully we get a little bit luckier this time around. First two times the game wasn't too nice to me. Okay, that could be anything. Still not saying too much. Okay, this is a 4. Okay, finally some luck in this minigame. The 4 was pretty easy to find. Especially when you get a 3 or a 9. Or sometimes even the 8 and the 5 and the 6. Those have a tendency to look a lot like each other. So those are definitely the trickiest ones. If you get a 7 or a 1 or a 4, those are the easiest ones. But apparently we're going down to the cellar now in story 4. And we get flattened immediately. Great way to start. But of course it's going to be a required start, because we got introduced to Flat Wario a while back. Only this time we're for the first time actually going to use it. And this is the main function for Flat Wario, as you can see. The way we fall actually changes. We float down a little bit. And we even sway left and right while doing that. In this first room we're mostly going to use it to collect the coins over here. As you can see, the way we fall actually makes us able to get a lot of coins, horizontally speaking. And you can touch water in order to cancel out the transformation. Getting yourself wet actually works against most of Wario's states to cancel them out. But Flat Wario is also one of them. And it seems we're not done with it yet. There's another enemy here that can change us into Flat Wario. However, we first want to take a look up here. Because obviously, we can ride this guy upward for some loot. Okay, and that's all that is here. No, stay away from me. You can only touch me when I'm flat. Otherwise you're just going to cost me. Okay, in this room we want to avoid most of the flat stuff. Except for the final one. Because of course, up here we can find some more stuff that only Flat Wario can reach. Because now, for the first time, we're actually going to use the main mechanic for Flat Wario when it comes to the puzzle solving. Not just his falling changes up, but because of him being so flat, he's actually able to squeeze in holes like these, which a normal Wario obviously cannot even dream of going into. Like this. Remember this trick. Going to be used a lot in this game. Okay, let's get most of the coins here. Too lazy to go back up for those final 2 coins. Don't really need them. Okay, these reds we don't care for. But you, we do care for because we want to avoid you. You can actually do that by jumping into them while dashing. That actually counts as you hitting that enemy. So as you can see, he won't carry you upward if you do that. Okay, we want to break these blocks in a certain pattern so we can actually still go up here. Because we obviously want to do that. The game obviously hides something here. Okay, that should be everything. Let's break the final couple of blocks for some additional coins. If we can get lucky, we can find ourselves a silver coin. Every single normal yellow coin that spawns has a very low chance of actually appearing as a silver coin, which is actually worth 100 coins. It's pretty rare, but it can happen. And usually in the first 3 stages I have found one at least at some point. So far in the Let's Play, not so much. But I'm pretty sure we will see them at some point. Okay, obviously we're going to go fall here, because Wario cannot get past this hole. When you're crawling, you cannot jump, of course, so this hole we are forced to fall into. And this little room over here isn't just here for a puzzle failure. There's actually also something hidden here. Right over here. In this column where no coins are, there's actually a hidden door. For 60 additional coins. Before we move on, there's actually another one. Right over here. But okay, additional loot taken care of. Let's finally solve that puzzle, which is pretty easy to solve, of course. Wario cannot get past that trap floor. However, if we flatten ourselves, there's actually something else that happens. You might notice it. We are no longer 1 space wide. Wario got even fatter now. He's 2 spaces wide. And therefore we can actually walk over 1 space gaps. Also a trick you need to remember. Involving Flat Wario. And here's the exit already. This entire stage functions as a tutorial for Flat Wario, you might say. We did nothing than being Flat Wario here. But of course we're not done yet. We missed out on the treasure room. And guess what? Oh, missed it. Yeah, sometimes you need to try out which platform you actually need to fall from in order to get to certain gaps. But it is always possible. And here's actually the treasure room, obviously. All the way at the end of the stage. Which makes it a lot easier, because you should have plenty of coins by now. You can even spare yourself an extra try in case you fail. Okay, it's the chef. An enemy we have not met yet, but... Ah, there you are. All the way at the right. It's an enemy we're going to meet later. It's also an enemy that induces a state for Wario, but we have not seen that quite yet. Hey, let go of me, you bastard! Where are you taking me? Ooh, I knew this was here. In case the tone of my voice wasn't obvious enough. This guy actually... Oh, dang it. Need to be flat again. But yeah, that guy actually do want to get picked up by, because it might cost you a couple of coins, but you'll earn them back up there, as you can see. But okay, that taken care of. The stage is fully complete, so let's get wet. And let's get to the end. Okay, treasure gotten. Plenty of coins. This time we actually do make some coins. Unlike the first 2 stages. So let's do that final end of stage minigame. We even have some time for another stage today. So let's finish off the first chapter immediately today. That would be nice. Okay, that could be everything. Except for a 4. A 9 or a 3. Could also be 5. Okay, it's a 3. That's obvious now. Thank you. Okay, the treasure map is also making progress already. It's definitely raising my interest, this treasure map. But it's far from complete. Let's move on to story number 5. Defeat the giant snake. Ooh, there's even a snake here. Interesting. These pirates get more interesting by the stage. Hey, there's stuff there. I want. Ooh, an arrow. Guess what that'll do. First, let's get rid of business on this first floor over here. Okay, where the arrow was, do a ground pound so you can get to the bottom room. And this actually takes you to that little section we saw to the left. And that is actually what you do in order to reach the top of this room. There's multiple things to do here. Most important one being reaching the treasure room. Yeah, and in this stage the treasure room is actually pretty early on. So you're going to want to gather as many of the coins as you can here. In order to get at least 50, 100 or even 200 if even normal is too hard for you. You're going to want to fall in these holes over here where a lot of coins are. Oh, zombie, help! Next new enemy. And this is actually also an enemy that induces a state on Wario. If you get hit by this guy, we get turned into, yeah, not a surprise, but zombie Wario. I'll save that for later, because this we want to do first. Like I said, the treasure room is already here. Fall in the second shaft. And that is actually the treasure room. Do make sure you have enough coins Do make sure you have enough coins with you, because otherwise you won't be able to do very much here. But I have enough for one attempt. And it's the fire guy. On the right again. Only this time it's the bottom right. Okay, doing fine so far in this minigame. Not a guarantee, because I'm pretty sure I've never been able to do every single stage first try with this. But okay, let's move on with the stage. There's actually more stuff up top of this room, but we actually want to save that for later. That's actually something I don't want to touch right now. So, let's check this wall, which is clean, and move on. But don't worry, I do remember there's more stuff up top, but I'm saving that for later deliberately. Okay, that I can't reach. There's clearly an exit then. I see a hole down there. Also see a door with a skull on it, which is interesting. I'll take a look at that later, because of course this room first needs to be cleared out. And I see this hole over here. Ooh. Wario wanted the treasure. First thing that comes to mind. Yeah, I thought as much. Indeed, the corridor I spotted first was indeed an exit for this one. But I also see there's stuff to the right over here. Okay, plenty of coins. But okay, category secret in secrets. This is another room where the middle part of this room hides a door. Oh, if it wasn't for my notes, I would forget these things. More than enough coins. So if you missed the minigame in the first room, you can do it now. But anyway, let's move into the skull door. Here we actually find the first boss of this game. And you might ask, boss? How can you fight a boss whenever you cannot die or can't get hit? Allow me to lose this deliberately at first. And this is how boss fights work in this game. A boss does not kill you, he does not damage you. If he manages to hit you, you actually get thrown out of the room. And you need to retry the boss fight. And that is how Wario Land II solves its no deaths and still do boss fights. As you can see, we get thrown to the top of the room. We are forced to leave the room and redo the boss fight from the beginning. And that is Wario Land 2's way to fight enemies and bosses, as you can see. But okay, now that we're up here, we can immediately try to find some more coins. Because obviously up here we can also find a lot of things. Okay, going in here actually takes us back to the first room, as you can see. And now you see why I didn't want to do this first. Because I knew we would end up here anyway at some point. But okay, let's get serious now. This is our way to loop around in the stage again. And get back to the door that way. You can actually also come from this shaft up here. If you immediately fall down from exiting the boss room, you can... you'll actually end up in that shaft over there. But okay, let's get serious now. We obviously want to ground pound this guy. And make sure we don't get grabbed by him. Because you saw what happens if that happens. After 3 hits he enters rage mode. And 1 more hit and he's gone. Really freaking easy boss fight. But it's only the first one after all, so... no surprise there. And that was the first boss stage of Wario Land 2. And boss stage or not, there is still a minigame to do, so let's guess a number for the final time today. And close off this episode 2. Okay, 3, 5 or 9. It's a 5. It's no 3, it's no 9. It's a 5. Also a pretty easy one to get if those are the panels they give you first. In that case, only 2 is already enough. But okay, 5 stages done. 5 pieces of the treasure map gotten. There's still a long way to go, as you can see. But we've only done chapter 1 so far, so we're only just getting started. See you folks next time when Wario Land 2 continues in chapter 2. When things get more interesting. Thanks for watching and Treecks out.